Oh, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. So we just wrapped up the past week, which was week 2 in the LEC. Now we're looking ahead to week 3. I mean, the LEC is really heating up. You know, we're kind of starting to get into the end of the beginning of the season. We're kind of slowly starting to ramp up into the middle of the season. We're learning more and more about these teams and the players and the different rosters and all the roster changes and stuff each week. The standings are starting to kind of shift apart. You know, the top teams are starting to pull away a little bit. The bottom teams are starting to fall a little bit. There's still a bunch of big clumped up teams and stuff, but we have some really hyped games coming up this next weekend, and hopefully we'll continue to get more and more of our questions answered, continue to find out which teams are legit, which teams are pretenders, all of that good stuff, and hopefully just get some awesome banger games, and that'll be cool. So in this video today, we're going to be looking back at the past week, looking at the standings, and then I'm going to be giving my thoughts and predictions, and hopefully getting your guys' thoughts and predictions on all the games coming up in this next week in the LEC as well, because there are some good ones, there are some big games this week, so it should be fun to talk about. But before we get into that, I just want to mention real quick that I might be a little bit slower responding to comments and getting back to people and stuff like that. I actually dropped my phone in the toilet today, so it is not working. I will not have a phone for the next couple of days, and that is really, really unfortunate. I'm sad, I'm upset. If you're making fun of me, that's fine. If you feel bad for me, maybe you'd want to consider subscribing, maybe dropping a like on this video, maybe that would make up for it a little bit. But I just want to let you guys know that yeah, it'll be tough for me the next couple of days, especially while I'm at work. I won't be able to really do anything because I'm just going to be sitting there. So now, with that being said, let's get right into today's video, talking about the LEC. First up, I'll take a look at the standings. We can see there is some stuff obviously standing out to us right away. One, at the very bottom, we have Origin and Vitality. This is Astralis and Vitality. Google just is stuck in last year with having Origin, obviously. But Astralis, this is a team we kind of expected to be at the bottom. But again, Vitality is a team that a lot of people in the comment section spent all offseason telling me how good Vitality was going to be, how I was sleeping on them, how I was wrong about them. And it turns out I probably was wrong about them. I probably had them overrated. This team has looked really, really rough to start the season. And are they the worst team in the league? Probably not. I think they could move up a little bit, but they are not really showing much signs of life. They're not looking very good. They obviously lost to Astralis as well, so that's not really helping out their case in any way. Then, we have Astralis obviously at the bottom, which is kind of what we expected. The next clump of teams we get into, Misfits, Fnatic, SK, Excel. SK and Excel, I'm still not really sure what to make of them. Some people think Excel is going to break out from this group. Some people think SK has a chance to break out from this group. Some people think Misfits has a chance to break out from this group. Even though Misfits, they didn't look great this past week. Obviously, they went 0-2. They went from 3rd place. They were sitting at 2-1. People were starting to get hyped up and excited about them. They kind of came back down to earth. Vedio, Hyrit, are these guys really as good as they were just because they played well in week 1? I don't know. The rest of the season will kind of paint a better picture. Obviously, I'm sure Misfits will end up in this 5th, 6th, 7th range. I don't think they're a top 3 team. I don't think they're a top 4 team. SK and Excel, I think these teams both have promising pieces, but I still think they're very far away from being complete teams. So I still expect them to be kind of lower clump. And then obviously we have Fnatic, who we don't know what to think of them. As soon as we start believing in Fnatic and seeing that they can play well a couple games in a row, they come out and they lay another egg with Hylissang just kind of running it down, Whippo being really, really inconsistent, and overall them just not really looking like they're playing like a team. Upset has been decent, Niski's been pretty good, and Fnatic still finds themselves at 2-3, and this is obviously without even matching up against G2 yet. So I don't know. Fnatic's in a weird spot where they're tied for 5th now. They need to get on a little run. They need to get high. Obviously, they still have plenty of time to do so, and they've looked good in a couple of their wins, but they've looked bad in a couple of their losses as well. And then, we have Mad Lions, Schalke, 2 kind of more talented teams that we expected to be a little bit higher up, maybe off to slower starts in the season. G2 coming off their loss, and then Rogue, sitting alone at the top, undefeated. So it's kind of your update from last week. This is what we're looking at in terms of the LEC right now, in case you guys were wondering. So let's get into this not week 1, day 1. This is going to be Friday. These are the matchups that we have taken place. We start off the day with Misfits against Excel, and this one's tough for me because I think these two teams are pretty evenly matched up. I think in the end, I'm gonna kind of be leaning towards Misfits. I think they have been looking a little bit better to start the season than Excel. Excel, I do like a lot of what they have going on. I think Patrick can be really good. I think Torre looked better last week, honestly, than he did in week 1. Jekyll Lad still, kind of ramping up. But Misfits, I think, is still a really, really solid team. Kabe and Vander are a very, very nice bot lane. They might even be able to just be straight up better than Excel's bot lane. Vedio, Hyrit, they didn't have great great week 2s, but they showed kind of what their promise is in week 1. We'll see how this goes. I think Misfits is just a little bit more talented and playing a little bit better than Excel right now. But this game, I would not be shocked to see it go either way. But I am going to be leaning the way of Misfits getting a W in that first game of the week. And then we've got Mad Lions against SK Gaming. Mad Lions obviously coming off their big win against Fnatic last week, where Mad Lions didn't necessarily look insane. Fnatic got out to a 5K gold lead at like 23 minutes. Fnatic really should have been able to close that game out. They kind of had a big throw. Yes, props to Mad Lions for being able to stick in that game to battle back, but I think if Fnatic played that one cleanly, a good team would beat them in that circumstance most often. Humanoid looked a little bit better last week, but I still have some questions about Arma. I still have some questions about Aloya. Karzi looked pretty bad against Fnatic, so I'm just not completely sold. But then there's SK, who also did not look great last week, but I do think Mad Lions is an overall more talented team. I think they're coming into this game a little bit hotter. I think this should be hopefully an easy win for Mad Lions. They are a team that I like a lot. I want to see them playing well. When Mad Lions is on, with Humanoid playing well, Kaiser playing well, this is one of the most exciting and fun teams to watch in the LEC, in my opinion. And I don't think they're there yet, but I do think they are a more talented team than SK. I think they should be able to get that done. Next up, we have G2, obviously coming fresh off a loss against Schalke that a lot of people didn't expect. People were just kind of saying, G2, they're talking about going 18-0, but are they actually going to be able to do it? I don't know. This team likes to troll. They like to do crazy picks and all that stuff. And it ends up their loss to Schalke was kind of random because Schalke didn't come into that game playing very well. It shouldn't be a huge surprise. It's not like Schalke's some terrible team or anything like that, but Broken Blade had a pretty big game. Limit had a huge game on the rel against them. Mickey did not look very good. Wonder got solo killed in a counter matchup. A lot of weird stuff going on for G2, but I don't think that should mean much when they're taking on Vitality. Again, Vitality coming off a 0-2 week. They've already lost to Astralis this season. I think this team's absolutely reeling right now. And I'm not going to overreact from one loss from G2 where they pulled out a Kled and Mickey just kind of went crazy on Leona. I think G2 is obviously heavy favorites in this one. They should be able to get right back on their winning ways. So I'm definitely going to be going with G2 over Vitality. Next up, we got Schalke and Rogue. Now, we talked about G2, coming off the loss. Schalke coming off the win over G2. This is a very talented team who is kind of hard to rate because they're also inconsistent. Broken Blade hadn't looked good until the G2 game. Limit hadn't really looked good until the G2 game. Abadage is all over the place. Gilius is having a pretty big season so far, honestly. And yeah, just you never really know what you're going to get with Schalke. You never really know what team's going to show up. But on the opposite of that, Rogue has looked pretty consistent, pretty dominant, and pretty solid to start the season. I expect them to come out really strong this week. I think even though Schalke is coming in, with a lot of confidence, a lot of momentum after their big win against G2, obviously, is Schalke going to be able to pull off 2 monster upsets in a row? I have my doubts. I am going to be rolling with Rogue in this one. And then finally, we get to the last game of the day on Friday, which will be day 1 of the LEC Week 3, Fnatic and Astralis. I don't love this game being the last game of the day. I don't know why they wouldn't kind of bump this down, have Rogue and Schalke at the bottom. Even when they were making this, I know Fnatic gets crazy viewership and stuff, and this game will probably have decent viewership, but are a ton of Fnatic fans going to be tuning in to watch them play against Astralis? I don't know. I have my doubts. Fnatic, yes, they are coming off a loss to Mad Lions. I don't know why I couldn't think of the team. We were just talking about that. But again, I'm not panicking. They have looked good against bad teams. They just haven't looked great against kind of the middle teams and the upper teams. I think they should definitely be able to get this one done. I'm not expecting one of the big kind of random inty games from Fnatic. They usually, take care of business when they're supposed to. And I definitely think they should be able to take care of Astralis, who again, like I said, even though they beat Vitality, they're still probably the worst team in the league. Finally, we get to day 2. This is Saturday, and we got some big matchups again, a lot of fun ones. Misfits involved in another fun game. This one will really show where these two teams are at in terms of the standings. When the standings are all clumped up like this, when you are facing teams that are close to you, a win is such a huge thing there. And Misfits and Schalke are both kind of going different directions. Misfits was 2-1, they're 0-2 on the way down. Schalke coming off that win against G2, they're on their way up right now. And I like riding the momentum. I'm going to stick with the hot team here. Yes, I think Misfits is fun to watch when they're playing well, when they're at their best in week 1, but they showed they obviously have some flaws and inconsistency issues last week, and Schalke really came out strong, and I think they should be able to get a dub here. I'm going to be taking Schalke against Misfits in that one. Excel against SK. This is another one where these two teams are very, very evenly matched. They're very, very tough for me to pick between, but I do think in the end that Jekolad I think has been better than Blue so far to start the season, so I think that could be a potential area where Excel maybe has a little bit of an advantage. I could see him really popping off in that matchup, and still I think Excel is a little bit more talented team, and I think they've just looked a little bit better in the games that I've seen them play so far this season than SK. So I am going to be taking Excel in that matchup, but that should be a fun one. I think those teams are pretty evenly matched. You know, even though they're not the best teams, I think just when teams are close in the standings and close on paper, I think those are some of the most fun games. Then we get to Mad Lions and Team Vitality. Again, I don't have many good things to say about Vitality at this point. Mad Lions coming off the win against Fnatic. I want them to keep the momentum rolling. I want to keep it going. I think that should be an easy win for them. Same thing in the next game, Rogue and Astralis. I don't have much to say about Astralis. You guys know that's going to be a Rogue pick for me. And that takes us to the big match of the day, the big match of the week, the one that everyone's going to be talking about before, during, and after. G2 against Fnatic, the two big fan bases, the big rivalry, the two big teams. You know, G2 would probably say it hasn't been much of a rivalry recently because they've really had Fnatic's number, usually being able to take them down in all the big series, all the big games, everything like that. And this game won't be that big, but I'm sure both teams, you know, want to have bragging rights, want to trash talk, and they can get up for this one. You know, maybe G2 can't get up for every regular season game, but Fnatic definitely needs wins right now. You know, they're sitting at tied for 5th in the standings, and these standings move quick right now. If you're dropping games, you're going to be moving down, and that's not going to be good. G2, they're sitting at 4-1. They're chilling. They don't really have much to play for, but obviously they'd love to beat Fnatic. I'm sure Reckless would love to stick it to Fnatic as well, and come out with a big win. But yeah, I mean, in the end, I do think, obviously, G2 is going to have to be pretty heavy favorites. I think G2 is a stronger team in most positions. Fnatic is definitely capable of beating them. You know, if Hylissang plays as good as he can, if Whippo plays as good as he can, if Self-Made puts on an awesome carry performance, and if G2 has some, you know, inconsistency issues, if they do a little bit inting, best of ones, anything can happen. You know, I'm not saying that Fnatic is not capable of beating G2. I think that'd be really, really dumb to say. Fnatic is obviously a very, very talented team when they're performing at their best, and G2 can be kind of a lackluster team like we saw last week. You know, Schalke took down G2, so they're definitely beatable, but I'm sure G2 wants to come out, wants to get things right, and wants to kind of stick it to Fnatic, and this is going to be a really, really fun game. I'm hoping it is competitive. I'm hoping it's not a stomp, but I'm definitely going to have to be leaning towards the side of G2 getting this one done. And that is it, guys. That is my picks, predictions, breakdown, thoughts, and opinions on every matchup headed into week 3 of the LEC. Definitely drop a like if you did enjoy this video. Helps me out a ton of the YouTube algorithm, and I would appreciate it so much. Leave a comment down below. What do you think I got right? What do you think I got wrong? What are your guys' big picks for the week? Which matchup are you most excited for? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on anything we talked about in today's video. Subscribe, stay up to date on my latest content. Hopefully catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace!